Hi everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. It is a new year, we have new themes. We're coming out of the gate strong with this week's theme, Samuel L. Jackson. I am here wrapping up the week, and I want to talk a little bit about Samuel Jackson in the 90s, because in the 90s Samuel Jackson was everywhere. He was in a new movie every single month. It's insane. Here are some of the highlights. I first saw him in Do the Right Thing, which was '89, in which he played the local DJ. He's great in that. And then after that, he was in Goodfellas, Jungle Fever, Patriot Games, Jurassic Park, Die Hard, With a Vengeance, Long Kiss Goodnight, Out of Sight, Deep Blue Sea, plus, of course, 2 Quentin Tarantino movies, Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown. Pulp Fiction, he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And, of course, The Phantom Menace. Now, there was another actor who also had a big career during the 90s, who he teamed up with. This guy was in Glengarry Glen Ross, The Ref, Outbreak, Seven, LA Confidential. He did one of the voices in A Bug's Life. And he had 2 Oscar nominations for The Usual Suspects and American Beauty. Oh wait, strike that. He actually won both of those. And Kevin Spacey, of course, Kevin Spacey and Samuel Jackson co-starred in A Time to Kill in '96. But it was 2 years later, in '98, they really got to partner up as adversaries. In The Negotiator, which is directed by F. Gary Gray, he did The Italian Job and he did Set It Off and a few other films like that. He's a former music video director. The story of The Negotiator takes place in Chicago. Sam Jackson plays Danny Roman, who is a expert hostage negotiator. And we see him in action pretty much in the first scene of the movie. But later on, his partner is killed, and there's a lot of money which had been stolen from a police retirement fund in his home. So he's been set up to make it look like, you know, he was the culprit. He stole the money, he killed his partner to cut it up, to cover it up, what have you. But before his partner died, he confided in him that there was a guy who is telling him, an informant who's telling him about one of the internal affairs guys, whose name is Nebom, played by J.T. Walsh, who is in on the conspiracy and knows something about it. So, in the process of, expecting to be arrested and thrown in prison, Danny Roman decides to go and visit Nebom at his office in downtown Chicago. And there's an altercation, and Danny Roman pulls a gun and takes a bunch of hostages right there. And when the police get him on the phone, he says, "Send me Chris Sabian." That's the Kevin Spacey character. Chris Sabian's another negotiator like me. I want him to be the guy that I talk to by way of negotiating with the police. Because he's locked himself into the office there. He's barricaded all the vents and cut off any cameras and what have you. So he's dug in. He's going to use Nebom, this internal affairs guy, to try and figure out who this informant was. His partner who got killed told him about this informant who told him what was going on. So he's going to try and figure out who he is while dealing with the police. Now, the reason why he requested Sabian is because Kevin Spacey's character has a reputation for never forcing aggressive police action. He'll talk to a perp for 3 days straight, just to make sure that no one gets hurt. Never, sends the cops in. And Danny Roman's counting on that because he needs to be able to prove his innocence. There's a great exchange where Kevin Spacey tells him, there are ways of proving your innocence. This is hardly one of them. And he asks him, why is it that he requested him? Because they know each other, they're aware of each other, but they're not pals or anything like that. And Samuel Jackson says, before my partner Nate was killed, he said that the guys who stole from our pension fund were guys in my precinct, guys I might call my friends, and you're not. Sometimes when your friends betray you, the only people you can really trust are strangers. So they start off as adversaries, but as time goes on, Chris Sabian begins to think that Danny Roman really is telling the truth and he really is innocent, so he starts figuring out a way to try and prove that. It's a very dialogue-driven movie. It's a cop thriller, but it doesn't have, a lot of the shootouts and chases that most cop thrillers have. In fact, there was going to be a big shootout or chase at the end for the climax. But they went to, the writers and the producers and like, look, this whole movie's been dialogue-driven. We really need to have a dialogue-driven climax. And they did, so they changed the ending, and it's a very satisfying movie. It's a good cop thriller. Whenever it's on TV, I always watch at least a little bit of it. and to see these two guys, two actors who are just totally awesome at most of the characters that they play, squaring off against each other is just fantastic. Most of it's over the phone, but some of it's in person, which is good. So yeah, there's a lot of really good character actors in this movie. John Spencer, who is in The Rock, Ron Rifkin, David Morse. One of my favorite character actors is David Morse. They're also playing cops. And of course, you've got Paul Giamatti, who is one of the hostages that Danny Roman is dealing with during the whole crisis. And he's great. Paul Giamatti, love that guy. He was in The Truman Show that year, exactly. Also, and I really didn't know who he was before then, but after The Negotiator started getting bigger parts and became more well known, which is really great. He's a lot of fun in the movie. So there's my Samuel Jackson video for you. We've got a new theme starting tomorrow, so please tune in for that. Thanks to everyone who's posted videos this week. If you haven't already, check them out. Please do so. There were so many Samuel Jackson movies to choose from, I really wasn't sure what to do. But when I thought of The Negotiator, I'm like, oh, I have to do that one because that one's fantastic. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Later.